First item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been seconded. Any changes to the agenda?
Just note one last-minute addition for the letter of support for the marketing grant for the ACEDC and the Addison County Chamber of Commerce was added to the consent agenda.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, all in favor of approving the agenda with the two additions to the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Next is approval of the consent agenda.
I move.
Second.
It's been seconded. Is there anything anyone would care to highlight in the consent agenda?
I didn't know that discount beverage was sold.
There it is.
I didn't either.
Somebody from India, I guess.
Hmm?
Somebody from India.
Yes.
I didn't know Joe was selling it either. I'd like to highlight, because I cannot be here, I'm flying 6 AM tomorrow morning, and I am gonna miss
Oh.
a very worthy recognition of our retiring police chief. And I hope that some of you can make it, and make sure that he is lauded for,
Did you say 6 AM? It's Thursday 4 to 6, right?
I'm sorry?
No, his flight.
His
Flying
flight's
out.
in the morning.
Oh, you're flying out,
The
okay.
event
I'm
is
having
in the
trouble with
afternoon.
that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't even mention that.
He's retired. I don't know if he wants to be at a 6 AM, but we can't laud him enough for everything he did for us in our community. And I really will look for an opportunity to thank Chief personally for everything he's done. And,
I'll-
Chief Covey, if you could make sure he knows how much appreciated everything he's done, and it's been a pleasure working with him.
So I will be there. Actually, I was going to be there today by mistake. I called him and I said, "Are you going to be there?" He said, "I'm just getting on the plane." I said, "So you're going to miss Chief?" He said, "It's not today." And I said, "I just got ready and stepped out of the store to come to."
Nice.
That's,
So I'll be
that's kind of you to throw yourself under the bus.
And the other thing is, Donna Donahue has asked to step down from the Select Board's Policy Review Committee. And Donna, we appreciate everything you did. The Policy Review Committee reviewed all of our policies, was able to update many and pull some out that were antiquated. As every legislative body, you have materials that become dated, and we're so busy with the here and now that we don't always police the dated stuff. And so they did some humans work, and it was really good to have her as a part of that committee. If there's no other things anybody would like to highlight, I would go ahead and vote here.
Yeah.
Everybody good with that? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Citizen comments. Don't see any citizens here who are here for something that's not on the agenda. We'll jump into,
We do have some people in our audience.
must be on another list.
Here, does anyone in the audience have anything under citizens' comments?
So you can read that thing now?
Read
That's
it
good.
now.
See the pictures and everything?
I know who's here.
Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. We will move on to Emily.
Wow.
So you're earlier than my last appearance at midnight or whenever I finally went on.
Yeah.
We have just a few things on the agenda. We're seeking approval for recommendation for North Branch Road hydraulic study proposal from Otter Creek. This is part of the July, event. A number of the culverts, I think 3 realistically, were undersized for that storm event, and saw severe impacts. And so Otter Creek has given us an engineering proposal to do a hydraulic study on the roadway and also determine, upgrades for those culverts. I did meet with FEMA last week and I got them all cleared with them, so I think we're in good shape in that aspect of it, and this cost will be incorporated into FEMA funding.
Questions of Emily? I saw that you guys came through or made a recommendation to support this from the infrastructure committee, so.
Yep.
Would you care to make the,
Oh, sure. I move the select board approve the hydraulic study proposal from Otter Creek Engineering for the North Branch Road for $15,000.
Second.
and seconded, any questions, comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of the recommendation for the South Street Phase 5 design, which will incorporate wastewater and stormwater on South Street. And then also, in addition to that, traffic calming measures and the final sort of roadway aspects of it, of the project. So we requested a proposal from Landmark Engineering, who's been the designer throughout the project. And they have issued this agreement, which includes construction inspection. I'm not seeking approval for that at this point, so I'm really just seeking approval for items 1 through 9 and 11, which is the engineering, the design engineering, and then also the as-built work. And then we'll circle back on the construction inspection piece of it. So I'm seeking approval for the $34,520 cost associated.
I move that the select board approve the engineering agreement with Landmark Engineering for $34,520 for phase five of the South Street Infrastructure Project, which is items 1 through 9 and 11 on the proposal.
Second.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
Moving on. This is quick tonight. Some project updates. South Street is moving on. They've completed all of the services for the new line. They did pressure testing today on the new line. And now they'll just start sort of buttoning up the roadway, getting it ready for paving in the second week of November. So bringing in the 12 inches of actual sub-base material that's requested in the contract and things of that nature. So more of a cleanup effort at this point in preparation for paving. Depending on weather conditions, they might start working on some of the off-road aspects of it, going up Benedict Lane, but that's very weather and crew dependent. And I think a lot of crews sort of drop out coming November hunting season, so we'll see what happens in that department.
When does the asphalt plant close for the season?
Usually like late November, early December.
Okay.
I think they are working with Pike, and that's usually right around Thanksgiving that they shut down.
Great.
Holiday Road Pump Station, that got paved in last week, so hopefully the bump has improved for those that travel that way. They're still actively working. The generator is supposed to be getting delivered, I believe, the first week of November. And then it will just be getting all the electrical and gas and everything tied in. But so they're in pretty good shape over there. That should be wrapped up this season, and we'll be done with that one. Route 116, I'm sure you've all seen, has reopened at least to one-way traffic during the daytime and two-way traffic at night, just doing some basic stabilization roadway work at this point. The water line is all installed, and we had to extend it slightly to get away from the asphalt cement line that we had in place. So it went a little bit north of what was originally anticipated in our project limits, but we ended up with a better product in the effort. And Middlebury River, we've entered an that. I'm reading off my notes for the infrastructure committee because it went to it went to you before it went to them. And they were on site last week. I haven't connected with the engineer yet to figure out what he found about the sheets, on the flood resiliency wall. So that'll be the biggest piece of it in my opinion, determining if they're impacted or harmed in any way from the storm. We know that they've peeled off and they somehow need to get reapplied or replaced, but I don't know if the actual toe of them is impacted as well.
Awesome.
Any questions on that?
How are we coming on budget on the South Street project?
South Street project, we've only received one pay request, but we're still within the budgeted. We only have the change order for the 40,000 and change, I think, the valve replacement on South Main Street. So that's the only major additional effort that we've had so far.
Okay. I was,
And we just received, for the next phase of it, we have funding through the ARPA, clean water funding that separates storm and sewer. We have $664,000 allocated for that next phase, and we actually just received an additional amount of funding for that phase through the state revolving fund. So for the next phase of it, we have significant funding tied to it.
super, so, and then Remote 116, that was really nice to have that open. I
Makes a big
I
difference.
drove through it the other day. Usually I have to kind of zigzag to get from my house down to East Middlebury, so,
Yeah, it helps.
yeah.
Emily, do you know what happened on Washington Street on Sunday? Water line, a whole lot of water running down.
Where they had the-
I didn't know that it started on Sunday. I know we had a water break on Washington Street, sort of within the limits of last year's project,
Yeah,
but that's all I know.
okay.
In the limits, it's.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was,
I
saddened.
drove through it today, and it looked like it was on the more southern side of Washington Street, which was not in
Yep.
the recently paved section. So I don't know, I don't know, I can follow up, I don't know what it was.
okay,
I was tied up with FEMA we had our huge submittal for the July event yesterday. It was due last night, so I was tied up with that for most of the day.
sure.
How long's the guarantee for?
Yeah, right.
Was that when it was closed down?
Mm.
I saw the closure, I didn't see
Or
that.
the email?
Okay, anything else for Emily?
Yeah, thanks for opening 116. It makes it easier for my daughters to visit their friends over there. We had to make
I
that
had
whole.
very little to do with that effort.
What is the timeline to finish that project? Is there, how many more?
116?
Yeah,
I think it'll be pretty quick. I mean, it's really just like final shoulder stabilization that they're working on, and then they'll pave. I don't know what contractor they're using for paving, but they're in the same crunch that everybody else is, that they need to get it done by mid-November. So I would anticipate within the next 3 weeks at the most. It looks more cleaned up than that. I would think that they're on the short list for getting paved pretty quick.
and the water line on the Dove Pond looks pretty low. Is it gonna stay low like that, or the
The
pond?
water, oh yeah, so that was part of the intent of that project, was to put in a box culvert at the very bottom.
Okay.
It's like 40 feet down, so it does drain that pond down incredibly, but it allows aquatic organism passage to the actual stream that
Okay.
had been blocked for years.
Huh.
So it will never come up to the street level, probably.
We really hope not.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks, Emily.
no problem.
Okay, I think next is Laura Chief, on the Public Health and Safety Committee.
Hello, friends.
No.
So the Public Health and Safety Committee convened after a year. That didn't mean it wasn't paying attention, because obviously it was. But anyway, we did look at our structure, and as you saw in your notes, so they nominated me and elected me as their chair to replace Chief Hanley. And we're hoping that you will nominate and replace Chief Hanley with Chief Covey. So in addition to the two of us, we have Andy as our select board representative and Dan as the alternate. And of course, Gary Baker is continuing ad hoc as I am. And we have Andrew LaRoe from the Planning Commission. And we have somebody to select yet from the medical services, which you saw in your notes, because Mike has resigned. And Andrew is looking at reaching out to them to recruit whoever Porter's replacement is there, or someone from the medical services, could be State Department. And we did talk about that too, like, is there anybody else? But we're not looking to really like expand the committee more. We could always have stakeholder group meetings, as you are doing, you know, like around the housing and downtown issues. So that's the composition. So we're looking for your motion to
So why don't you, we'll let Andy go ahead and make that motion
nominate
for
and
the select
approve
board
the
then.
addition
Yeah,
of
gladly. I move to appoint
Chief
Police Chief
Covey.
Jason Covey as a member of the Select Board's Public Health and Safety Committee.
Second. Oh, you can have
Will
it.
you?
Okay, I'll take it.
Very good.
Okay,
Yeah,
all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
fantastic.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
It's official.
Another duty.
Hopefully, you'll be meeting more often, hopefully.
Well, we talked about that, you know, so we do have we had a structure for meeting the fourth Monday of the month at 4 o'clock. And we noticed we don't always have to meet, so we're gonna go to a quarterly
Yep.
schedule. So the next meeting would be January, the fourth Monday in January, unless there's a need from you, you know, for us to meet, or the community, you know, like that you need us to meet before that. But we would at least anchor ourselves 4 times a year and just check in on how we're doing and where we are with things. Because we know it can go in both directions, where we may come to you and say, oh, we need your consideration on this or that, and you can do the same with us. So that's the way it would work. So you can definitely invite us to convene before that, and if you need that, it would be on that schedule, which is already established for the public and at our website. So that's kind of how it would work
I think
for
that's
going
good.
forward.
I know that Chief Hanley gave you the treasured USB drive
Yes.
of public health and safety documents. It's a little antiquated and perhaps a little tenuous to have the documents of a public committee shared by USB drive. And I wonder if the town might have SharePoint or some other tool available for the,
Website.
I mean, we do have all that archived on the website as well.
do we? Okay,
We
very good.
We do and should, you know.
Okay. Just making sure that we're not
Yes.
trusting too much
So
to.
We are going to be doing a major refresh on the website, so it might be good at least to have a copy of that
Okay.
thumb drive.
Very good.
Well, I am happy to provide that. I know exactly where it is, you know, and
Yeah, in a static
course, I was-
free,
I was the chair before that. I don't think I captured everything on a thumb drive, but, you know, I know that I have it on this laptop probably, and it's also archived at our website.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so that's the structure, and then we talked about a couple of things, you know, that you saw in your notes. So we talked about traffic calming. No end to discussion on traffic calming. You know, we all need to slow down for a safer town. But the Rogers Road community was there, and when we talked about, you know, just how we could continue to help them. And you saw in your notes that there is a plan to continue to do more studying. And in the meantime, you saw that the fog lines had been restored on Rogers Road, and they talked about restoring the yellow divider so that it calms the traffic even more. And Bill was gonna look at that and see if he could restore that while we are looking for other traffic calming solutions and do more study of Rogers Road. The other thing they wanted was a stop sign added at the corner of Monroe and Rogers Street because traffic isn't stopping as they come around that corner. And as the chief noted in his highlights to you, some of that is, vegetation that's intruding on that corner. Bill, again, thought that maybe we could add, not a stop sign right now, but some other kind of warning sign for that corner so that we could help in that major bypass. And it was really telling, right, from the neighborhood, just how concerning it continues to be on Rogers Road. It is such a major bypass. There is so much traffic moving on that. Some of it is a result of what's going on, in terms of other parts of town, but I think it continues to be a very popular bypass, so we're looking to support them, there and of course in other parts of town. So Andrew Leroux actually shared with the committee a report that was done in 2012 by Du Bois for the Planning Commission here, and for the Regional Planning Commission on all the possible measures that you could take to calm traffic. And we have a guidebook that Chief Hanley gave, the retired Chief Hanley gave to our new chief. So he now has that. So we have the guidance on possible things that we can do to calm traffic, and you have seen that too in various presentations, and as we can do it, we will. And now that we're approaching, hopefully, the completion of South Street, we can look at calming measures on there that have already been discussed, and just continue to help by road design, to calm traffic down. That's the best way to do it, rather than enforcement, right? So, and we call that road diets of various kinds, and there are lots of ways that you can go about that. So we talked about that, traffic calming, and then we talked about crows and efforts that we could do to manage their natural migration and congregation in downtown. And Dan actually shared a story about managing it at the Swift House with did you call it a blue-green laser gun? Which is $20 to $30, so kind of a low-cost measure where you could encourage the crows to go elsewhere. You could turn off lights, because that seems to be what attracts them, but we wouldn't want to do that around the gazebo in the downtown, because, we need the lights for safety, for other safety reasons. But we're just kind of monitoring that, and really, we could engage the college in helping us look at the migration of the crows to just see if there's anything else we should learn about their congregation. But it does seem to be episodic and natural, and so we talked about that. We talked about the crows and kind of some measures we could take to encourage them to go somewhere else.
And Gary also suggested that maybe if the feds had not added them to the migratory protections, then the folks in Pennsylvania would be taking care of our crow problem for us.
Apparently crows can be hunted legally in Vermont, during certain
Right.
stretches of time.
Yes.
So I
They've been
don't know
coming
of
from-
anybody that does that, but that.
Oh, yeah.
that-
For sure.
My car was a mess, so
Right.
just going into dinner
Yeah.
last year, I think it was. So they've been coming back every year.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
roost, in the winter, they come into a group, into a large, I forgot what they call it. Murder. They come into a large murder and they roost at night in lighted areas, so they can, anywhere though, streetlights, they're usually in Maple Fields or in the Swift House, and you just flash a blue-green laser on them, which does not hurt them at all. It scares them like it's a predator. Or you put flashy things where they
Yeah.
come in, if you have something flashing, or loud noises, so
Right.
they just move.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna scare them around town, or eventually maybe out of town.
Right, so then that led to a
Disco lights.
discussion of who does that,
Yeah.
And so Bill, again, looked at, is somebody in Public Works or Parks, that might be able to do that, maybe. So that's as far as we got with it. So we're just sort of at that awareness and, possibilities for managing it. And
Do a
we'll
little
watch
vigilante
it.
work out there.
I think they make
I mean-
automated lasers, though.
Yeah, they do?
So that you don't have, the idea of somebody being responsible to go down and laser them away every night.
Yeah.
But I don't know what those cost, but I know like some ag,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's different applications where it's important to keep the crows away, and I've seen those. I
right.
haven't-
And actually, Andrew LaRoe forwarded some links to towns that have, like Troy, New York has taken, and maybe they've done something like that. And yeah, we can look into that. There are different options, just like there are for traffic feedback signs, like full spectrum. You can go low cost, higher cost, and more automation, less automation. So that would be up for the town, you guys, to decide, how far you want that to go. But we did talk about that, and we know that we do have some options, and that's where we are with it. So with the lasers, you do have to be careful, not to aim them at planes or buildings, so you have to stage it carefully that way. So that's crows. And then we talked about downtown and how things are going downtown. And I'll let Jason speak to that. And you saw in the notes the highlights of that too. But it's definitely gotten better. And it's definitely the result of all the coordinated effort and the good discussion that you held. So they're seeing wildly successful results from all that coordinated effort. The social service agencies, you plus the police department, which represents you. So it's all working toward its solution. And we know we have a houseless population that may not be or shouldn't be conflated with the vagrancy that's happening. And we're working on both, right? So we're working on the criminal justice solution for the repeat offenders. And then we're working on, the people that are encamped down there or visiting the encamped down there so that we keep everybody safe, including them. So is there more that you want to highlight with
no,
regard
just-
to that?
Not really. We're working at it. Weather is also helping us, as we predicted. The folks who are living down there permanently are in the process of making plans for winter housing. They don't intend to stay there all winter. But we as the police department are interacting continuously. You'll see officers down there all the time. To the point, the officers are interacting with the group. They're asking questions of the group, and making notes about what they see, to notes that encompass what kind of, what the conditions are down there, how many tents currently are there. One list of notes I saw from yesterday, I believe, officer went down at one time during the day, there were pizza boxes on the ground. He went back a couple hours later, they had picked up the pizza boxes. They're knowing what the actual conditions are. They're live throughout the day and night. So that's helpful as well. And we've had some positive interactions with the people there, to the point, one of the people that has been there, a local who's been there the whole time, was outside the library early in the morning when one of our day shift officers showed up and just interacted with him. And the officer spoke to him and he said, "I'm charging my phone. I'm specifically charging it now so that I'm gone by the time the library opens. I don't want to intimidate people. I don't want to." So there is a cognizance among some of the people there about what is happening. The crime spree, if you will, that person, again, we can track pretty efficiently, was in Rutland for several weeks. She has come back to Middlebury twice that we know of for short periods of time under the bridge, but is not staying here that we know of yet, but she may be close by. We have an idea where she might be staying periodically. But again, as of last week, only 2 people were sleeping under the bridge. That has reduced during the day, and with the weather warming up again by the end of the week, we have our day drinkers, if you will, locals who have homes, who just go down there to hang out during the day. That, the weather will help with that as well. So we should have, hopefully, a reprieve coming to that extent with cold weather. Saying that, it's supposed to be 68 by the end of the week, but I can't imagine that's gonna last for very long.
Chief, did you read Angelo's editorial?
I did.
And what, I think he encapsulated some of the thoughts that you guys were sharing and talking about. Does that track for you?
It does. This misunderstanding about Vermont's current bail system and Constitution allows, that's very specific about holding people without bail. We see that in extreme cases. We don't often see the very violent cases. We see a judge order them held no bail. They just won't allow them to post bail. What we're talking about is bail at all, and I think the state's attorney articulated that, and that's what I was trying to articulate. We would prefer a system where, with repeat offenders, and Vermont law does allow for that to an extent. We to hold someone, just because we release someone on a citation, as I talked about, we have something called continuation of the offense, where if we release the person, which is the preferred method, if they're going to continue the offense for which we first arrested them, there's a provision for them to then be held. Now, that's up to a court to set bail, and again, bail is supposed to be used to assure appearance, not necessarily to control behavior. But we've seen an evolution of that in my career, and I think we need to look at not having such a bright line distinction. When you have a case like this that's so egregious that the community is held hostage to an extent, that there needs to be more tools in the tool belt for a person, and understanding that that's not just criminality, that is deeply rooted in substance abuse, and it's deeply rooted in mental health issues. So there should be a multidisciplinary approach, but right now our systems fail in this scenario because we've used all those systems in this one person's case. We have used involuntary mental health holds, and we have used the criminal justice system, both of which ended with the same result: her back out in the street committing more crimes. And that's unfortunately something we see quite often. Not to this extent usually. This one's an anomaly, but it illustrates that our system is not perfect and that reform is needed and a hard look is needed. And if it requires amending our Constitution, so be it. That's why there's a process for doing so.
Just to note also that the homelessness task force is continuing to meet and is in the process of setting up a regular meeting time.
And there has been tremendous buy-in to the task force. Many agencies, individuals willing to become involved. And we're reaching out to everyone. I just had a meeting with folks from the Turning Point Center last week who were very aware of this person that we're talking about and have pretty close knowledge of her and helped paint a picture for me of what some of the issues we're facing are and how there is no ease. This is complex. Every time you peel a layer from this onion, you find another layer, and it is highlighting where the system needs some really hard looks to determine what works, what doesn't work, where we're going, and from a public policy perspective.
And meanwhile, this community unified approach is really helping a lot. And the homelessness task force, as it's reconvening, is holding that together. And there are at least 14 agencies that are involved in that, from what I've been told, and that includes youth via our MPD presence there. So that's a good thing, and we want to continue that and report that progress to you. And the outreach that you heard about at the last meeting that the social service agencies are doing is definitely making a difference. They engage with somebody that's been kind of staying more at the pavilion, who turns out to be a vet, and connected that person with services. So So they're really trying hard, to find those solutions. And as the Addison Independent reported, we have those legs that are all operating now. So we have the homelessness task force as one leg, we have housing solutions as another, and we have the Addison County Housing Coalition that meets monthly also. So there are a lot of agencies that are working. And I might add, that the faith communities also have a group, and I've told you about this, and they've been trying to point people to the quicker solutions of home share, building accessory dwelling units, and tiny house placement, which could become an accessory dwelling unit on somebody's property, if not a village, which would take more time to plan. So they're repeating that conversation, actually this Sunday, the 29th at 4 o'clock, back at the Congregational Church of Middlebury. And they will have the tiny house that the Career Center builds, they build one a year, on display for people to tour starting at 2 o'clock. And that'll be parked near the fire station in the parking lot by the National Bank of Middlebury. So if you're down for Spooktacular that afternoon, you can come on over and take a peek at that. And if you want to wander into the conversation to learn about those options, you could do that too. So,
Heather had a question here.
I just was seeing how we're coming into budgeting season, if there was something we wanted to do related to crows or whatever, having a recommendation sooner rather than later might be good so we could get it in the budget cycle.
In addition to the several other things Bill Kernan was looking into, he was also going to, I was going to take a shot, but he's not going to take a shot. He's going to see what strategies we could deploy in the
Okay,
downtown.
so he's thinking about that for the budget anyway. Yeah, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Word
Yeah.
selection?
Society says to hang fake dead crows. And all I'm saying is, we've got like a week and then they're all gonna be on sale.
yeah, so do you have any agenda items that are on your minds that you,
Before we
Okay.
start asking questions of the board, I've got
Okay.
Judy Wigger-Gross got her hand up.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Judy.
I have two questions. And maybe I missed it. During this discussion, has there been any talk of restorative justice?
So that is within the purview of the state's attorney's office, and whether they would recommend that, my guess, not to speak on their behalf, would be with such a violent history, they also take into account previous criminal history when they do that. Restorative justice isn't offered in all cases to all people. It is a tool. It's used in very specific circumstances, but I can't speak whether that would be an offer made. In this case, I'm not even aware if any of these cases have reached arraignment yet. It's too early to say. There's a lot that goes into that decision-making process.
I can tell you that the social service agencies know about restorative justice as a tool that some of their clients could take advantage of, so they will refer them if they need expungement of record or they need help with, DUIs and managing that sort of level, like of support. So we know about that. And it's good for us to mention and be aware of restorative justice as another tool for helping
See what
people.
else. What was the other question, Judy?
Well, just to clarify, the state's attorney is the only body that can determine whether restorative justice will be utilized?
Mm-hmm.
State's attorney is the prosecutor, so that decision is up to them whether they will prosecute a criminal case or refer it for restorative justice. That would be their decision. They may consult with police and ask us if we think that's appropriate given case circumstances, but it is their decision because it bypasses the normal prosecution process.
Okay, my second question is, have people, or have you all, or any of you all, looked into what neighboring towns, particularly Bristol and Virgins, are doing in terms of setting up like tiny home communities, lower middle income communities? Because apparently there's considerable work being done. You know, and I know it takes a plot of land to do this. I mean, in some locations, they're even offering, you know, they're saying to people, if you have a backyard that can house a, what is it? Sorry, ADU, AUD.
Accessory dwelling unit, yep.
Sorry, whichever one it is. That if you're willing to house a tiny home, for instance, you know, that's providing a solution in a number of areas.
Yeah, so just to not prolong this discussion, this wasn't on the agenda. The housing is certainly one issue. We have a lot of people working this issue within Middlebury. It's not new. Middlebury is a more expensive town to build in. I don't know, you know, we've amended the zoning. We are supporting Middlebury College and Summit's efforts to build some additional housing, some of which is required to be by virtue of some of the funding, that's more affordable housing. But we're not gonna solve this tonight. We're all working on it, Judy. We're all watching every other community, but within Vermont, nobody has the answer right now. I read about Chittenden County's goal of 1,000 units per year, and I think it was 568 or something like that. So they fell significantly short last year. So we do appreciate the brainstorming, and I don't want to be dismissive of it, but I also don't want to add things to the agenda that weren't on the agenda. We do have a group that's working that, and we've reactivated the task force, and there's a lot of effort going forth along those lines.
And Judy might be interested in going to the 29th at
To
the
the task
Congregational Church, which is the second of a series of meetings that they've had that talks about the two types of housing plus the third type of housing, home share, that she can learn what
going
you
on.
and groups are doing in this town.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And as a parting comment, besides bats, I love crows. It must be about the flock. Thanks so much.
We're not shooting them, we're just trying to relocate them.
If we could create a gunpowder industry perhaps in town and use their guano for something other than befouling the sidewalks, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Did you have any future agenda items that you wanted us to hold or consider? If you do, you know, just let us know. I mean, one thing that occurs to me is our hazard mitigation plan, and maybe, you know, just reviewing again what we have in place regarding power outages or location for extreme heat and cold location emergency shelters. So that might be something, you know, like, and other things might occur to you. Okay?
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay.
Howard?
Yeah, hi. I assume everyone saw the letter that we submitted to the select board. So back in August, you approved moving forward with the application for the MERP, the Municipal Energy Resilience Program, which everyone gets who applies, so easy call there. But, so our recommendation is, well, let me back up a sec. We have some members of the SEAC, you know, the Climate Economy Action Center, who are also members of the Energy Committee. So they switched hats, came in with a recommendation to use the $4,000, we're not talking about a lot of money, to put towards two items. One is having an energy navigator, which is someone, you know, it would provide a resource for people to go, you know, someone they could go to talk about energy efficiency, where do I begin, you know, just helping them navigate through it. Sort of like what we went through back with Obamacare, right? There was a navigator to help people navigate that. So it'd be something similar to that. And that aligns with the objective of the grant, which is, I guess it's from ARPA is what's funding that. So, but the thing is, with $4,000, it's not gonna go very far. So their recommendation is, if we take all the towns who acquire those funds within Addison County, we can pool the money together and have it go a lot farther than it would just, you know, one of the things in the grant application was it to be used for having a resource, a person to go to one-on-one discussions. But $4,000 isn't gonna get you a lot. So the idea is to pool the money with other Addison County towns and apply it towards one, a navigator, which they want to pilot that program. And the other is, there's a platform called Mass Energize, which is proven to be pretty successful in Massachusetts. It's a platform that is localized, so Middlebury would have its own page, or however you want to put it, to help people also find resources to help them. So it's, we think that's really the best use of the funds. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money, $4,000, but we think it would go a lot farther than just us trying to have an ice cream social down on the triangle, you know.
So SEAC is a county-wide organization?
It is.
So they can bring this to all the towns and say, hey, go grab your $4,000 and let's all do this navigator thing?
Yeah, and Matty Shropshire from the Regional Planning Commission is helping other towns with the application process and also trying to help pool that money. So she's also working on behalf of SEAC to do that, so. So that's the recommendation. You know, that's the first part, that's the mini grant, and there's the bigger $500,000 grant that is a whole separate discussion that we'd like to apply towards the library, but we'll see how that goes. Any questions on, you know, I didn't want to, you know, a lot of the details are in the letter, so I didn't need to go through all that.
Any questions of Howard?
Just quickly, have any other communities in Addison County received funds yet? They have? And,
Yeah.
And are they willing to do the same?
Yeah, they have a, I'm not sure I don't know if anyone's online, I don't know what the number is right now, but handful maybe.
Okay. That's good. I
Cool.
didn't know if you were the first or, either way, I'm fine. I'm good with it, so.
Somebody care to make a motion then?
I move to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with the Climate Economy Action Center of Addison County for an amount not to exceed $4,000 for the establishment of a regional mass energized community website platform.
Second.
Moving second, questions or comments?
I didn't realize it was SEAC. I thought it was just SEAC.
Well, it's SEAC. But that just doesn't have a ring to it.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
We like to say SEAC.
Gotcha.
Well, each one has a SEAC.
Yeah, yeah. A little SEAC.
Sounds redundant.
It does. A little stutter.
Well,
Very good.
Chittenden County might say that one.
SEAC.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Appreciate it.
Kathleen, you want to handle the reappointment of the town health officer?
It is my pleasure to say that Tom Scanlon has agreed once again to be our health officer, a particularly thankless position. So I ask the select board to reappoint him or recommend his reappointment to the Department of Health. Please.
I move to approve the reappointment of Thomas Scanlon as the town of Middlebury's health officer to a 3-year term beginning 11/1/23, ending 10/31/2026.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed? Okay.
A quick question on that. Dustin Hunt was a sub for that, right?
Yes,
So
we
what
are in need of a new deputy, and his appointment expires at the end of October, at the end of November.
Okay.
So that'll be coming back to you. We are still eagerly looking for another willing volunteer.
He's still serving though, Dustin?
Okay, next is, oh, Laura.
I just forgot to mention that Tom Scanlon, or our health officer, is a member of the Public Health and Safety Committee. And so it might be, and in the interest of those considering deputy health officer, it would be good to know what the qualifications are that you're looking for that. So can they find that at the website?
Sure, or they can contact Beth. There's also on the state's Department of Health website,
That's what I thought.
all of the qualifications.
So for those viewing that might be interested, and in the past, we've had people from the medical community that have stepped in, like we had Dr. LaFiandra for a while, so you could be that kind of person. And I hope that somebody out there that may be watching or hears our report considers it.
So, next is Linda Mobile Home Park.
As you may know, the town of Middlebury holds a subordinated mortgage in connection with the Vermont Community Development Program grant funding for the Lindale Mobile Home Park Septic System Improvement Project, which is well underway. And the Lindale Mobile Home Park is owned by the Addison County Community Trust. The attorney for the Addison County Community Trust has presented the board with a updated, amended, and restated priority agreement to reflect recent changes in the project, specifically a supplemental loan from the Vermont Housing Finance Agency in the amount of $500,000 and the payoff of the National Bank of Middlebury construction loan for the project. Town Attorney Benj Putnam has reviewed and approved the proposed First Amendment to the amended and restated priority agreement.
Questions? Pleasure of the board.
I move that the select board authorize town manager Kathleen Ramsey to sign the proposed First Amendment to the May 2nd, 2023 amended and restated priority agreement for Lindale Mobile Home Park.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And Churchill utility easement.
At your last meeting, the board reviewed and approved the granting, or the notice for granting of a utility easement to the Churchill family of 1 Forest Lane. There was some discussion of having them, the Churchill family, pay for any legal expenses and other expenses the town may have in connection with this. And there was also some interest expressed in charging a fee for the easement. So I calculated out the value of 4,200 square feet of the easement and came up with about $750, and suggesting $1,000 for discussion as a charge for the easement, and the expenses legal expenses and other expenses, specifically the publication of the required notice in the paper, would be added to that under this scenario.
That's great. I walk this region every day with my dog. It is very steep. I am intrigued to see how the sewer line goes in through there.
That's steep.
It's
Gotta
steep,
come flying off the hill.
yeah.
And it's gonna turn though and dump into the manhole, right?
Well, it goes into Colonial Drive, right?
It is a
Yeah.
manhole.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sure the engineers got it figured out.
I'm
but you
sure
have
they
to
do.
Be careful that the water doesn't outrun the solids, or you end up.
Oh, yeah, right.
This is
Aha.
this is well beyond that.
Lots of water.
I'm sure the engineer has got it.
Yes, very good. I like it.
Any comments on it? If not,
I'll move to authorize Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey to publish the 24 VSA Section 1061 notice for granting a utility easement for the installment of a gravity sanitary wastewater collection of the town's collection system on Colonial Drive to the Churchill family of 1 Forest Lane with the following terms: $1,000 for the easement plus all legal and other expenses associated with the transaction.
Second.
any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Who's got check warrants?
I do. I reviewed the check warrants yesterday and found them in good order. I'll move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $677,257.82, consisting of $550,402.46 for accounts payable, $126,855.36 for payroll for the period October 11th, 2023 through October 24th, 2023.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board member concerns. You wanna start, Heather?
So for Chief Celebration tomorrow night, if you were not
Thursday.
gonna.
Thursday night.
We're all gonna show up there on the
Different
wrong
day.
night.
Yeah.
Thursday night, sorry. If you're not gonna be there, Brian, is it just open? Should somebody plan to say something specifically?
It's open to say, anybody can say anything, right?
Should someone from the group have some
So I
organized
expect
comments?
Kathleen will say something, but I would hope somebody from the select board will make a comment of how enjoyable he's been to work with.
I would be glad to do it, but I've not been here very long. I think that maybe someone with more tenure would be appropriate, who'd worked with the chief longer.
You, Heather.
Why you looking at me?
Um,
Heather or Dan? Dan knows chief also for a while.
we could both do it. I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure, I guess I just didn't wanna leave it to like, somebody do it, like, let's make sure that,
Yeah, no, good
Good idea.
Good idea,
We'll
so
coordinate.
would you like me to
please.
Prepare something, yeah.
release plans to,
Yeah.
okay.
Why
And
not?
I do have to get a hockey player to the rink before I go, so I may be there, but I should be there for most of it, maybe not the first part of it.
I'm sure they'll be
Can always
socializing for a while
Tap
before.
the mic and get people's attention.
Okay, Lindsay?
I have no concern. Amazing.
Dan?
My biggest concern is the email I received today that Karen Duguay has
Oh.
resigned.
Oh,
I
yes.
think that's devastating for this community. She's done, I think she's probably done more than any individual in this town has done over the last 10 years. Has she been doing this job? And I'm not sure how we're gonna replace her, and I'm not sure how we're gonna ever find anybody the amount of money she paid, was made to do the amount of work she did. So, it's gonna be a tough one to fill, and I'm concerned, cause the BMP has become a a viable organization under her leadership.
I think that at the ACEDC, yeah, right, she'll still be doing some of the same good community building
Yes.
event
That's
type things, but it was great having her as our champion
Right.
for Middlebury, for
Right.
sure.
They're more county-based.
Economic Development,
Fred Kenny's
under Fred
second.
Kenny.
Yeah. And knowing Karen, I'm sure internally they have talked about who will continue. I feel like she's
They're
always
on
playing.
Car shows and Thursday night things and
That's true.
DMP meetings and representing businesses.
Yes.
But you try to make me feel better. but you
Yeah,
didn't.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm all set, thanks.
Isabel?
Two things. So our next meeting is November 14th, but property taxes are due November 15th. So this is my announcement to everyone to make sure they pay their property taxes, and I thought I'd let you know 3 weeks ahead of time instead of the night before. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was we have a meeting scheduled for December 26th. Wondering what people think about moving that to December
We
19th.
always work around those.
Yeah,
We,
that
we
will.
will,
Wanted to mention it ahead of
No,
time.
we appreciate the.
Yeah, I'm always thinking ahead.
Good.
you were thinking about property taxes, my goodness.
She's definitely thinking ahead. Wow. Andy?
I was so impressed by Heidi and the Charter House presentation at our last meeting. I attended their open house last weekend. The work they do, the dedication, and the folks that are there are incredible. The warmth and empathy in that structure and organization is incredible. Really neat, and I hope I can find the time to get involved over there. I think that the weather is going to assist us in our current vagrancy, property crime issues, but we better not be complacent and better have some ideas for spring about how to nudge things into a place where we have better oversight and controls in place to protect our downtown. That's all.
That's it? So, along that line, that was one of the things I was thinking about. I see it as, there's certainly a lot of issues, it's very complex, but I simplified it in my own mind as you've got the one with all these issues, but there's a lot of people working them. And there are some tools, and they are, with them activated and working it, can make some progress. Making sure that people have at least a warm place to sleep or a dry place to sleep, that they're fed, and that they work towards counseling to have jobs. But then there's this group that's smaller that we don't have any tools, and that for me is more problematic. And I haven't heard anything that gets us, other than the weather, any kind of security that we're working that. And I wonder about us signing a letter asking for them to look at the stuff that was talked about at our meeting and that Angelo pointed out, and sign that letter to the governor and to our state legislators.
Sure, yeah, I
You-
think there's a role for bail reform and looking at this from that side as part of, yeah.
When you have a repeat offender that is causing that kind of damage and you have no tools, we need help from above to provide a tool.
Right.
Because that's something that's out of our control.
Yeah.
We can work the others, and we have a tremendous, all the nonprofits that are working together, the faith community, you know, there's just so many people that care and wanna do things, but you can't help people who are in that style, in that type of a position until they cool down. And if we haven't got ability to hold them away and let them cool down, then it's damaging everything. So I just would solicit your support for a letter to continue to push on that issue, because that's, if, we can't wait till good weather. I mean, they're gonna be starting within a few months, they'll start their next round, their next legislative session. And if they saw that as a big enough issue, and maybe there's something they can do from the statutory, not the constitutional side, that they could accomplish in one of their sessions. Yes.
I was just gonna say, I'm totally for doing a letter, but also maybe doing more than one. Like, just feel like we send one letter, let's send another.
Yeah.
You know, let's keep sending letters until we get somebody to engage and tell us they're working, you know. For me personally, the issue is no matter what kind of hardship you're going through, you can't behave badly, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're struggling and you need some help, let's help you, but if you're behaving badly, and you repeatedly behaving, but we need tools to address that.
And I'm looking for a select board. I sent a note to the governor's staff, but I'm looking for us to do something as a town, not as a person, not as a concerned individual.
Right.
And then, if we've done that, I can keep pushing, because it's the voice of the select board.
Right.
So I don't have the town's voice right now. I have just,
Official letter from
I
us.
just have Brian's voice.
Right.
And so,
And all I'm saying is let's keep doing the town's voice, if that makes sense.
yeah. On Karen Duguay, I just, you know, again, another individual that did a lot of work for the community, and some of it at key times for us during our projects, trying to help keep the downtown healthy and help to restore the life in our shops after the time of the construction and COVID. So she is going to be more on the community, on the county level. I think we need to engage. I don't believe BMP has a plan to backfill her.
Not yet.
I don't believe that the BMP has that person, and so we need to be thinking about how that, you know, what are the things that we would want. I think we have some say as a major funder of that position, and we should provide the BMP any input that we want to, or you know, this is, if you're ever going to change that position, this would be the time to change it.
Sure.
So,
Could we get a copy of whatever there might be, job description,
I don't know if there is one. Is there one?
pay scale?
I mean, we fund it, but she works for the BMP.
That's right.
She's not a town employee.
But we didn't hire her?
No.
I was on the hiring committee,
Oh, okay.
so I have.
So the BMP executive board, they hired her. Okay.
It's still a good opportunity for input, is all I'm saying.
Sure.
It'd be helpful to know what her duties actually are. She does everything, but.
Yeah.
But she works about 10 times more hours than she's paid for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Laura has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Brian, that I think that the providers would be willing to sign on to a letter regarding, you know, reform that you're talking about. This is where it could be powerful too, in terms of having the unified voice. I just wanted to offer that.
That is a good
I
idea.
think they're your ally too.
all right, so I will be missing, like I said, on Thursday. Hope you have fun. He's not only a great community member and leader of our police force, but pretty cool guy. So. All right, motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Woo-hoo.
All right.
An early one.
Now I'm on red, but I made it.
Crazy.